Hey players, it's time to grab your tea and have a seat. Let's discuss politics, crime, celebrity gossip, investigative reporting. Welcome to The Real Tea with Double D on GSMC Podcasting Network, where I am black and the news is always petty as hell, but it's accurate.
Hey players, welcome to a brand new episode of The Real Tea with Double D. Of course, I am Double D and we are on the GSMC Podcasting Network. So excited to finally be with you all tonight to record a brand new episode. Look, I know y'all talking shit about me in Facebook and YouTube land. I know y'all talking mess like, look, now we put up with this last week. We're not going to keep putting up with your ass being late, Double D. You're going to have to get it together. And don't come on here saying you sorry because you're not. You only sorry because your ass got caught. I declare, honey. What a disgrace. I'm a disgrace, y'all. Look, something happened. Can I explain? Just let me explain real quick, then we're going to get to the tea. Because I don't have a sponsor tonight, so I don't got to go into all that rigmarole. Okay, so right when I was getting ready to come on, I had my notes and everything, and then I was ready. Can y'all hear me? Let me make sure y'all can hear me. I guess y'all can hear me. So right when I was getting ready to come on, see what had happened was DJ had started crying. Yeah, I'm gonna blame the kids. He started crying, so I went up in there and his little nose was bleeding. DJ has these really dry sinuses, right? So sometimes he gets these nosebleeds, especially since it's been summer. So I forgot when I put them to bed tonight to put on the humidifier. Mama was a hot bullshit mess, honey. I was watching Kaflama on Tickety Talk. I was trying to prepare for the show. And I just freaking forgot. So his little nose was bleeding. So I went in, cleaned his little nose up, changed his pillowcase. He didn't get in there on a shirt, but I changed his pillowcase and then put the got the humidifier on. And he's been fine ever since. But that kind of threw me off, honey. I ain't gonna front my little baby. He looked up at me and his little nose was bleeding and stuff was running all down and I got scared. I declare, honey, it's a disgrace. So listen, if you don't make it through this episode, you can always come back and and watch the playback later, or you can stream it on wherever you stream your podcast, because of course we know this is a podcast. I just want to welcome everybody out in Facebook and YouTube land, and also Tickety Talk. You guys come on over here to Facebook and YouTube, because I'm gonna cut y'all off in a little bit once I need my phone, because I'm gonna need my notes. But thank you all again out in Facebook and YouTube land. I'm just going to remind you that I am recording this for my podcast. So I won't be able to speak with you all as much as I would like to, but I really appreciate y'all being here and joining me while I spill this tea, honey. I love to have a live audience. Now, there are no sponsorships tonight, but I am going to remind you all to subscribe here on Facebook and YouTube. There is a way for you to subscribe and pay $4.99 a month where you can support Double D. You can also purchase merch. And if you would like to, you can also donate to the Cash App. And here on Facebook, you can send me stars. So if you would like to send me stars to support the Black Accurate News, where I'm black and the news is always accurate, so I can continue to spill this tea and not be worried, honey. I declare. Now that was a shameless plug. Let's get to this tea, baby. All righty, players. So the first item on the agenda tonight is Uvalde. I know a lot of people, I'm going to scoot this up just a little bit. I know a lot of you all are here for Uvalde because there's been a lot of developments over the last couple of days. So I wanted to lead this episode off with what's going on in Uvalde. And I'm going to tell you, I just have to put these beautiful faces up here first to remind everyone why it is important that we get justice and why we found out exactly what happened. And we also do things as far as gun reform and find out exactly what happened in Uvalde so we can make sure that it doesn't happen again. So this is why it's important. And while there's been so much rigmarole, it's not so much that people are being nosy. We just want to find out what happened so that way officers can be properly trained so that they can learn to properly handle these situations going forward. Because as we know, as time goes by, we find out that they did not handle things as appropriately. So I'm going to say to these beautiful angels that I have here on my screen to rest in peace. And we're going to do everything we can to get justice for you all and to find out what happened and how and why this system has failed us so. And we have a lot of people that are trying to find out what happened. So we're going to start by speaking about what happened yesterday in Uvalde, which I believe is kind of like, I don't know what I would use, but it's been like a preface. I guess I could say preface. A preface it for what, that's not a word. Preface for what happened today, which was, and I've already told you all if you've watched my latest video, that the Pete Arredondo, who is the chief of police, was actually placed on leave. Well, there's a reason why that was done, and we're going to go into all of that. What happened yesterday in Uvalde? A lot of people were kind of consumed with the January 6th select committee hearings. I'm going to keep it a stack with you. I was too, and I really didn't see all of this until last night. So I kind of did a lot of research today to find out exactly what went on. So here it goes. The Senate Special Committee in Texas actually held like a hearing similar to what they do in Congress. I mean, this is just at a local level. They had a hearing and they had in several experts and investigators in to testify. They also had Texas DPS director Steve McCraw. Now, if y'all don't remember who Steve McCraw is, he is the guy that came in after Abbott had given us all the misinformation. He's the one that came up there and gave us more misinformation. He actually told us that the school door was actually left open, but we found out that that was not the case, that the teacher did not leave the door open. But he's come back and he went into this Senate hearing and he was asked questions by some of the senators, as well as he had prepared, you know, graphs and all sort of things. So I'm just going to break down what he had to say. But the first thing I want to do is play you guys this clip of the first thing that he said when he sat down. This was basically what I would call his opening statement. So we're going to play this one and we'll take a listen.
Attack at Robb Elementary was an abject failure and antithetical to everything we've learned over the last 2 decades since the Columbine massacre. 3 minutes after the subject entered the West Building, there was a sufficient number of armed officers wearing body armor to isolate, distract, and neutralize the subject. The only thing stopping a hallway of dedicated officers from entering room 111 and 112 was the on-scene commander, who decided to place the lives of officers before the lives of children. The officers had weapons, the children had none. The officers had body armor, the children had none. The officers had training, the subject had none.
Okay. So that's the way he started his testimony. He was very serious in what he was saying, and he basically wanted to let everybody know that the commanding officer actually failed in his duties. And as time went on, we actually found out that he did. But I just wanted to play you guys that, and then I want to backpedal and pussy pop over to some of the information that he gave us on the actual madman, the shooter. And I'm not going to say his name. So he did let us know, which this was some very interesting information to me, that that the madman had a joint account with his grandmother and made 6 purchases of weapons shortly after, like a couple of days after his birthday. So people was wondering, where was he getting this money from? Well, he did previously have a job, and I don't know if that he doesn't know, and he said he could not speak on. I'm not gonna say he didn't know, he just couldn't speak on exactly how much of the money was the grandmother's and how much was his, because that the madman's, because they're under a subpoena to subpoena those records from the bank, and they don't have those records at this time, but they are aware that they did have a joint account. Him and the grandmother, the one that he actually shot in the face, they had a joint account together, and the madman made 6 purchases of various weapons in stores and online just a couple of days after his birthday. So it was shortly after that. We did already know that the madman made sent several social media messages and placed up several stories throughout several different platforms, kind of alluding to the fact that something was going to happen. In fact, 10 days before the tragedy happened at Robb Elementary School, he actually posted 10 days. And someone asked him, he said, "What are you going to do? Commit a school shooting?" And he said, "I don't know. You'll just have to wait and see, And kind of, I think it was a LOL or something to that effect. So he did testify to that, what they had found out about the actual shooter. So he went through all of that. So, then next, he talked about how the police had weapons and gear 3 minutes after entering the school. They had these tactical vests and stuff. They had these shields and they also had weapons. But Pete Arredondo, based on the communications that was going out, he was waiting on radios, waiting on uh another type of weapon at one point. He was just waiting on a plethora of things. And how he could say, the DPS guy Stephen actually said, um how can he say that he didn't know that he was in charge when he was basically the only one that was doing or calling all of the shots. Um and then he actually said that it took them an hour and 15 minutes to actually an hour and a half to go into the school, but they had everything that they needed within 3 minutes. um at any given time, there was officers from several different agencies like Border Patrol, DPS safety officers, uh, Uvalde police officers. There were all different types of officers on the scene. So there was no reason why they shouldn't go in there. And then when they finally did go in, here is what he actually had to say, because there's a little question on whether the door to the classroom was actually locked. Now I'm going to backpedal and remind you all that Pete Arredondo actually told the Texas Tribune that um they needed a key to get into the room because it was a steel enforced door or something. It was basically the door that was meant to keep out shooters, was actually preventing them from coming in, that they didn't have any type of equipment. Well, the Texas DPS officer said that that was a lie, and also said that he does not believe that the door was locked because the shooter was actually able to walk directly into that classroom. So he doesn't believe that, and I just want to play you all what he elaborated on. I want you guys to hear what he said for yourselves.
Out of the hallway, then walk back in again seamlessly, okay? And he didn't have a key, and he couldn't lock it from the inside. So the door was unsecured, and we've gone back and checked in our interviews, and did anybody touch the door and try it? How about, do you need a key? Well, one of the things they teach you in active training, I'm sure that one of the experts can talk about it, how about trying the door and see if it's unlocked? Okay, what we used to call a clue at that point. Why not? And of course, no one had. And so even if you're a part of the breaching team, we've gone back and talked to them, and they've been led to believe that it's locked. Even they, when you go back and talk to them, they didn't try the door. They took the key. As you can do the key, it'll open it. Okay, whether it's locked or unlocked, it will take the throw and put it back into the door, and you move it, and you can walk, and you go right in.
That's what he had to say. He does not believe that the door was open for those reasons. Locked for those reasons. So whatever Pete Arredondo was saying, he said that he doesn't believe that door was locked. He also said that when the officers did go into the school after the I think it was the third round of shots that were done, only 4 officers went into the school and killed the suspect. It was only 4 officers, of which one of them was the officer that the Border Patrol agent that was actually at the barbershop. They borrowed the weapon from his barber or whatever and came down there. He was actually one of the officers that actually took out that madman. Actually took out that madman. It was only 4 officers. Now, remember that when they first went in, a total of 19 officers was in this hallway at one point, and it only took 4 officers to take down this suspect. And during that time, that hour and a half time frame, 77 minutes exactly, that they were in there. That he was able to take out 19 kids. And then I'm going to let you know too that an officer that was an officer, it was Evo Morales's husband. He was actually detained and his weapon was taken away from him. He was prevented from going into the school after his wife had called him and told him that there was a shooter in the school. They actually handcuffed this man and detained him. The DPS, Texas DPS, Stephen McCraw, director, Texas DPS Director Stephen McCraw, he actually testified to that in front of the Senate Special Committee. So that was another thing that came out yesterday. So again, that is a part of it. They had specialists like experts there to testify on certain things. I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. I didn't make it through the whole hearing. It was very tough to listen to. However, I did listen to Stephen McCraw, but it was really tough to listen to, and I can imagine how it felt for the parents. I'm sure that the parents were very upset by everything that was coming out, and it really seemed as if a lot of the blame was being placed on Pete Arredondo. Now, there have been some people that I have been seeing that have been trying to say that Pete Arredondo is becoming a scapegoat at this point. I don't believe that. If he was the one that was solely there if he was there making decisions and they have record of him making decisions and he continued to stall and stall, the Texas director said that every single time they would make leeway in to try to go in, Pete Arredondo would need something else. At one point, it was a key. At one point, it was a radio. At one point, it was a tactical vest. It was ongoing. It just kept going and going and going until finally, when that last round of shots came through, that's when they just said enough is enough, and they went on into the school. There was also Pete Arredondo actually testified as well, but he didn't testify openly, and he didn't testify before the Senate Special Committee. He actually testified before a House committee, which is totally different from the Senate hearing. The Senate hearing was public, and these were Texas senators, and he testified before the House committee, and this was done privately. He did not answer any questions publicly. So we don't know what he told people. We're just kind of told them as of right now. We just know what was told to the Texas Tribune at this point from him. Now, one more point I will make on that. So after all this information comes out yesterday, we woke up this morning to find that a Texas state senator has sued DPS for Uvalde school shooting records. Is Senator Roland Gutierrez? He sued Texas Department of Public Safety, accusing the agency of unlawfully denying the public records request following the deadly tragedy at Robb Elementary School. In this records, he said, in the wake of this massacre, the state of Texas has completely failed to provide the community of Uvalde with truthful answers. Weeks have come and gone, and yet families who have lost their children have not been told by their government basic information about who was on site as their children bled, what tools were at their disposal to stop the gunman, and exactly why they decided to wait instead. He said that he actually requested the public records and he has been denied. I mean, he hasn't heard anything. So multiple media companies, attorneys for these families, all of them have been requesting these records, but and this will be like 911 calls, what was going out over the radios, like the body camera footage and stuff. These are the type of things that they were looking for, and they have been denied every single time. So the DPS is supposed to have 10 days to respond to was supposed to have 10 days to respond to the senator's request to seek, um but they never responded. um so I mean, he sued. So last night, many people were confused about this one too, because again, I told y'all that Pete Arredondo was placed on it paid. I don't know if it was paid because they didn't say. The school superintendent actually placed Pete Arredondo on administrative leave today. But a few people were confused because how can he request leave if he was denied leave by the city council? These are two separate jobs, basically. Okay, that's the reason why. So last night they held a council meeting where a plethora of parents came, people from the community came and talked about how Pete Arredondo did not need to be in charge of anything. They poured out their sentiments in that regard, and the council members actually voted for Pete Arredondo to not be given the leave that he was requesting. And if he missed three council meetings, he would actually be removed from the city. He could be removed from the city council. So I believe that's the direction that they are going in that regard. So that is everything I have on Uvalde at this point. I hope that answers a lot of you or most of you all's questions. Right now, we're just waiting on response from lawsuits and what's going to happen with Pete Arredondo. I know a lot of people are saying, they need to go ahead and get rid of Pete Arredondo. He needs to go. He should be fired. It's just, you know, we have to understand unions. I hate to say this. We have to understand unions. And when there's a union involved, we need to make sure that we do things correct and in order. Good evening, sweetie. Correct and in order, so that way he doesn't be able to go back, file an appeal, and do anything that will get his ass back on that bench whenever he is actually removed. So that is what's going on in Uvalde. That's the updates that I have. I hope that answers you all questions. And guess what, y'all? It's time that we move on. So you know what time it is, because I need some. Grab your teacups. Get ready for the tour. All right. So, with all this talk about Uvalde, of course, the next subject that I'm going to visit is gun reform. Yesterday, the Senate voted to advance bipartisan gun legislation with hopes of passing it prior to the July 4th recess. All 50 members of the Democrat caucus joined 14 Republicans in moving the legislation forward. The bill I don't need to read that. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act falls short of more expensive proposals passed by Democrats in the House, and not expensive, expansive proposals passed by the Democrats in the House, and is already facing opposition by top House Republicans. But it does it does do some of the things, but it falls short of the big thing, which was AR-15s, making the age to buy AR-15s 21. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and House Minority Stephen Scalise of Louisiana announced during a closed door conference meeting on Wednesday that they are both a no on the Senate bipartisan gun deal. Of course, we know Elise Stefanik, she released a statement. Musty Marjorie, Lauren Bobblehead, all of them are against this. Frumpy Dump actually talked shit about I forgot who he talked shit about, but he talked shit about a few of them today for actually supporting this. The Republicans are up in arms about it, and you know what? I don't give a damn. I just hope that they go ahead and pass it. Tony Gonzalez, who represents Uvalde, Texas. He's a Republican, and he said that he will vote yes on the bipartisan gun bill, saying, "As a congressman, it's my duty to pass laws that never infringe on the Constitution while protecting the lives of the innocent." In the coming days, I look forward to voting yes on the bipartisan Safer Communities Act. So we'll see what happens, honey. But that is what is going on with gun reform. And baby, grab them teacups because we got Musty Marjorie and Lauren Bobblehead tea coming right at you. Mm, mm, mm. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. Look at Tweedledee and Tweedledum, dumb and dumber. I declare, what a disgrace. So let's start off with Musty Marjorie first. So Musty Marjorie, although y'all know Musty Marjorie talks about BLM and Antifa anytime that, well, fictitious Antifa, talk about BLM and fictitious Antifa all, every day, all day, honey. That's all she ever wants to talk about. What happened the summer of 2020? What happened with BLM, da 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 da. And y'all know she is against LGBTQIA plus. But she's only against them in public. But if it benefits her, according to according to um according to motherjones.com, if it benefits her pocket, she's all for it because it looks like Musty Marjorie and her husband have invested nearly $300,000 in pro LGBTQIA plus and pro BLM companies. Oh, yes, 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 honey. It's true. The Business Insider reported that her husband bought stock in Nestle, which is a company that backs BLM. They say Black Lives Matter. They matter to us inside of Nestle, and they matter to us on the outside of Nestle. I declare. And they also invested in Visa. And the CEO, Al Kelly, wrote, "We must focus on how much Black Lives Matter and what we can do in a driving real and lasting change to end social injustice and racial inequality." Um, Perry Green, Musty Marjorie's husband, just bought $295,000 worth of stock in companies that have predominantly and openly supported social efforts that Musty Marjorie vehemently opposes, such as Black Lives Matter movement and LGBTQIA plus rights. Uh, he purchased four or five figures of stock in Costco, Goldman and Sachs, Home Depot, Intel Corporation. Child, the list goes on and on. This man has just been supporting the hell out of these companies. And they Musty Marjorie and her husband also previously invested in Disney and Walmart, two companies who are Disney now. Y'all know how they've been trying to cancel Disney. They also invested in Disney and Walmart. These are two companies that are LGBTQIA plus inclusive business practices and marketing. Child, I declare. What a disgrace. Walmart has had local pride parades, and Disney has slowly increased its positive representation of queer people in its films and television shows. Mm, 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 mm. Musty to the must pie Marjorie. That's just like her invested. This doesn't shock me at all. And if it shocks you, you haven't been paying attention because Musty Marjorie actually invested in vaccines as well. You know what I'm saying? So anything that they can line their pockets with, honey, all this stuff out in the open. Hell, I believe that Musty Marjorie plays for the team, but I could be wrong, honey. I'm gonna digress on that. I declare, what a disgrace. So the next up we have, let me put my picture back up here because I'm doing Tweedledee and Tweedledum together. Okay, so Lauren Bobblehead is up next, and Lauren Bobblehead has actually responded to the conflama that went on at last week as far as her being a escort. I just want to give y'all a quick update on this. As far as her being an escort and having two abortions, she went on with her favorite political pundit, Tommy Lauren. She went on to her show. I'm gonna tell you something. I believe that Lauren Bobblehead must have bought her camera equipment out of a Cracker Jack box because she sounds horrible. I don't have very much moolah, but I'm gonna tell you something. I don't sound worse than this. Y'all take a listen to this mess. So this is what she had to say in response to this. You know, she hasn't spoken out publicly. This is actually the first time that she spoke out publicly, and here it is.
Conservative women are targets of the mainstream media, but that makes us so much stronger. I've never had 2 abortions. I've never had any abortions. I've never been an escort. I've never been a drug addict, as they claim, a stripper, or whatever else they want to add to that. And over the last few days, verifiable facts will be released that prove what I said.
I declare, what a disgrace. Now, Musty did say that they were going to sue the Fire Boebert Musk rakers, but they haven't received a lawsuit yet. So, and they actually released more information today. Now, this shit here that they released today is so salacious that Double D can't go there, not without some hard facts. Double D can't go there. So, if you want to see what they got to say, y'all go visit fireboebert.com. I could have talked about it and said allegedly, but I don't even want to get in that water, honey. It's just some stuff I'm not going to visit. And being a paralegal, if some of you all didn't know that I am a certified paralegal, some stuff Double D ain't going to touch, and that is one of them, honey. This hearsay that they came up with, but y'all are welcome to visit fireboebert.com and investigate this shit for yourself and see if y'all believe it. But Double D, she steered away from that, honey. Look, it's too hot. Until they can show me some video evidence or something conclusive, something that just don't come from somebody's word of mouth, Double D ain't touching that shit, honey. I can't do it. Now, y'all, let's move on because it's time for the T Report. All righty. So we're moving on to the January 6th Select Committee. Just a brief little update. After Thursday, the January 6th Select Committee will be pushing their hearings to July. Chairman Benny Thompson told reporters that the panel's next hearing will be on Thursday at 3 p.m. Y'all know I'm gonna be watching, and I'm gonna come back and give y'all a little rundown on it. And that will be the last one for this month, and they will be reconvening in July with more hearings. They actually stated that they have more people that wanted to come forward and speak with them, and they also have received more. They have received some more exclusive footage and different things. So they said that they needed a little more time to go through these things. And hey, I can dig it. I can dig it. Y'all know Jenny Thomas has said that she wants to testify before the committee, but she won't elaborate on how she's going to do it. Excuse me, Thompson didn't elaborate, but he said that Jenny Thomas has answered their letter and they look forward to continue engagement with her. And then Mo Brooks, I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. I was gonna Mo Brooks, funky booty ass. He actually, after he lost his shit yesterday, he's out for frump and dumps head. So he actually said that he could testify before the January 6th Select Committee, but of course he's got some demands. So his demands, he says that my basic requirement is that it be public so that the public can see, so they don't get beats and oh my God, stop texting me. Oh, so they don't get bits and pieces dribbled out. And he also said he testified only about matters related to January 6, 2021, and he wants to see copies of any documents beforehand that the panel may ask him about. Jim Jordan also had the same demand to see documents before he actually steps before the committee. Now, Benny Thompson actually told CNN that the panel has redone Mo Brooks' subpoena, and he's the only member we hadn't been able to serve. So we are in the process of either redoing it or it's out the door already. So we might get to hear from Mo Brooks, and we might get some truth out of him since he lost that damn primary. Yeah, bring his ass in to testify. I agree with that wholeheartedly, Erica. So we'll see what goes on with that, y'all. Now I ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer. I got a couple more stories. Get your teacups. Now, this one right here, I had to talk about this. Y'all come closer, grab your teacup. Let me get a little tea. I don't know if y'all read about this, but this is good. So listen, Sidney Powell now y'all know who Sidney Powell is. That's Frumpy Dump's lawyer that been going around here with these conspiracy theories talking about she's gonna release the Kraken. So she may be paying for the Oath Keepers attorneys, honey. And federal prosecutors have requested, stop freaking texting me. Federal prosecutors asked the judge on Wednesday to examine whether defense lawyers representing the Oath Keepers charged with seditious conspiracy related to the January 6th insurrections are receiving improper funding from an outside group. Justice Department lawyers filed a motion in the Oath Keepers case, citing reporting from Mother Jones and BuzzFeed that found former Frumpy Dump lawyer Sidney Powell was paying the legal fees for several defendants through an organization called Defending the Republic. Now, listen, I got to stop for a second. How the hell is Sidney Powell able to afford anything when she's being sued by Dominion? And y'all know that a Frumpy Dump appointed lawyer, actually allowed that lawsuit to go forward yesterday. This lawsuit against that Dominion brought against Sidney Powell, rooted Human Skid, Mark Giuliani, and Fox News, that actually is, they allowed that lawsuit to go forward. So Sidney Powell needs to be saving her damn change up for that. She needs to be saving up that shmoney. But you out here doing something like this, I bet you by golly, wow, she's doing the shit. Now let me get back to my notes. So prosecutors said that such an arrangement could violate procedural rules intended to prevent conflicts of interest. The government is filing this motion. In this filing, they said the government is filing this motion because it has an obligation and interest to ensure it represents its clients, the United States, competently and diligently. Those duties include raising potential conflicts with the court as they arise, ensuring that defendants and third parties are accurately advised of their rights, and protecting the record by involving the court in the process of addressing a potential conflict before it undermines a proceeding and the defendant's right to competent and conflict-free representation. Child, that is a hot boo-boo shitty mess. Can you believe Sidney Powell? I do. I believe that dumb Diddy would be so stupid. So they're going to be filing that motion. The motion on Wednesday asked the federal judge to overseeing the case to review whether the reported funding arrangement was proper, even if the inquiry required the judge to inspect fee arrangements behind closed doors. So we shall see what's going on. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. And just this little bit before we get to play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Enrique Terrio, the Proud Boys trial has been delayed from December. They were actually supposed to go to trial next month, and it's been delayed to December because of the January 6th Select Committee hearings. A U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly postponed the trial. It was supposed to start in August, but it went to December after attorneys talked about the January 6th Select Committee hearings, saying that they wouldn't be able to receive a fair trial because this was going on. Now, Enrique Terrio actually doesn't want that. You know, his ass is locked up and they won't let him out. He disagreed with the decision. He didn't want that to happen, but attorneys for the other 4 Proud Boys actually filed this, and the trial is expected to last 4 to 6 weeks, stretching until next year. So that is what's going on there. So we're going to get to the very last one, honey, because I got a doozy for you. I need y'all to go ahead and get ready for y'all favorite game because it's getting late. Where's my deal? Players, it's time for another riveting episode of Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. Child, this right here is a hot boo-boo shitty mess. So listen, y'all know that we've been talking about in the January 6th Select Committee hearings, we've been talking about these fake electors. I made a video on it. If you didn't see it, make sure you go and watch it if you don't know what's going on with the fake electors. But that was basically Frumpy Dump's plan That was basically Frumpy Dump's plan to secure the presidency for himself, was to submit these fake electors, which they did submit them in several states. I believe it was like 7 states that they actually submitted them in to the National Archives, but of course they weren't counted because it was a crock of bullshit. If y'all would have watched the January 6th Select Committee hearings and saw what the real ones look like versus the fake ones, you would have been like, what? You would have been like, what the fuck is this shit? So, child, apparently, we all been up in arms about this, thinking that they have not been investigating this. Like, what the hell is going on? What's going on in the Washington arrangement? But it turns out that the Justice Department has been investigating this, and the FBI actually served a search warrant on a top Nevada Republican today, who was a frumpy dump phony elector. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. Yes, they did. According to reports, FBI agents served a search warrant Wednesday on Nevada's top GOP official. His name, excuse me, agents seized the cell phone of the state Republican Michael McDonald, and reportedly, as a part of the investigation into the fake elector scheme initiated at the end of the 2020 presidential election, a second search warrant was issued for state party secretary James, and I can't say his name, D. Graffenreid, who also signed the document, but FBI agents could not locate him. And they actually posted this bullshit, and some of the evidence that they have that these were the ones that did it they was proud of it, honey, and they actually posted their handiwork on social media. This is actually them. These electors, and these are the two in the middle, are the ones that actually signed that. See on the table there, I'm sorry, I know y'all can't see it out there in podcasting world, but if you look on the table, those two pieces of paper down there, those are actually the fake electors that they signed and sent it up to the National Archives, and they actually posted it on Twitter on December the 14th, 2020, before they mailed it up there. So there's some very compelling evidence. And they wrote in the caption, today, the Nevada Republican presidential electors convened at the Nevada legislature building in our state's capital to cast their electoral votes for the rightful victors of Nevada, President Frumpy Dump and Vice President Pissy Pence. They didn't say that. I just added that in. These electoral votes will be sent to the United States Congress, where they will be read on January 6th. They posted that. I declare, honey, what a fucking disgrace. I declare. But hey, they got it up there. They got their asses up there in 4K. Let me look. Don't go nowhere. I got one more I got to do for y'all. I want to play y'all this video here that I made on Tickety Talk last year, and I want to tell y'all what happened to this guy. People ain't pussy and got fucked.
You get that camera down right now. I know you're gonna do your job. That's my grandbaby.
Anything you want to say on his behalf?
He's a fine man. And thank you, Mr. Trump, for inviting a ride at the White House.
And you're his grandmother?
I'm his grandmother.
Players, it's the grown-ass man still living in his grandmother's trailer for me. It's the grandmother still thanking Trump after her grandson just got arrested for me. It's Derek playing pussy and got fucked for me. Derek Evans was an elected official. Yes, he was. And he actually served the shortest term ever in American history by only being elected for 2 freaking days. And today he was actually he was a West Virginia state legislator for 40 days, but he's actually going to spend more time in prison than he was actually a state legislature. He got sentenced to 90 days for his role in the January 6th attack. Yes, he did. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. You do the crime, you got to do the time. You do the crime, you got to do the time, honey. You scurried your ass on up there on January 6th, went inside the building. You better be glad they didn't give you 4 years like they did Jake Chancellor stinking ass. Yes, I know y'all do this every time. And listen, Lisa, I'm just going to tell you this. Y'all say this every time. They say 90 days, that's it. Yes, because it's just a misdemeanor. What he did was just a misdemeanor, okay? So he's actually getting 90 days for a misdemeanor. People usually don't even get that. You don't get prison time for misdemeanor. So yeah, he's doing 90 days. And that's good for him. I declare. What a disgrace. All right, players. I thank y'all so much for waiting for me and putting up with me tonight. I swear, this is a disgrace, honey, how I've been late. I promise I'm going to be better this week and next week. Ambrika, friend, if you still in here, I promise y'all, I'm going to be better next week. I'm going to be here on time at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. I swear I'm going to quit doing this to y'all. Player be late. But I know it'll be more people here if I'm here on time. But I appreciate all of y'all for waiting for me. Remember to like this video if you're on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe if you're there. You're not subscribed. Also on Facebook, make sure you love this video. And if you want, you can also go and listen to this wherever you stream your podcast. I will be loading this up to the podcast as soon as I get done here, so it'll be up about 11 o'clock. I thank y'all so much for joining, and I will see y'all next week. Baby, it's been a lovely night. I love sipping the tea with y'all, love spilling it, and let's pray for Uvalde, y'all. Let's pray that they get and send positive vibes if you're not prayers to them. Hopefully they find out what happened to their babies and how they were failed, and hopefully Pete Arredondo gets his just desserts, because it seems like what he did, it just they just got to do something. So let's send out positive vibes to them and support them in any way that we can, because they definitely deserve it. All right, players, I'm gonna get on out of here. Y'all have a good night. Okay, peace.
Thanks for listening to The Real Tea with Double D. Remember to support by following on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And subscribe to the website to keep the tea piping hot at Black